that TxDOT add Highway 30 or the 36A corridor to the regional transportation plan. So that has been submitted to TxDOT as well, just to keep that out in front. As far as Port Freeport, just quick update, since I also am chair of Port Freeport Commission. We are continuing to grow. We've actually seen more ships come in this year, even with the COVID challenges that we've had. We've had more ships coming in. We had something like 19 ro-ro ships last month, which is the roll-on, roll-offs. We have parking space for like 10,000 vehicles right now, plus some overflow in different places. So we're moving those cars and vehicles in and out rapidly. And that can be anything from fire engines to cranes, personal vehicles, all kinds of stuff. So we are actively moving. Freeport LNG looks like they will be back online with about 15 ships this month. They were down for a short period of time, but some people are experiencing a cold winter, and so LNG is moving. So for us, for Texas, that's a great opportunity for us to keep moving forward. So we're excited about that. With that, David, if you're ready, I'd like to talk a little bit about 36A and what's going on there.
Good morning, everyone. My name is David Gornett with Jacobs Engineering, and we are the lead doing the 36A route study and feasibility study for TxDOT from the US 59 corridor southwest of Rosenberg, actually down toward Needville, all the way north, crossing 59 I-10 up to 290, connecting to Highway 6 up in the Hempstead area north of Hempstead. Right now, we've been working with TxDOT and have got that approved to be split into two segments of independent utility for analysis purposes. That will be from the Needville area north to I-10, and then I-10, actually I-10 US 90, depending on where we cross the corridor there. And then from the I-10 US 90 corridor northward to Highway 6 north of Hempstead. Speaking of HGAC, if you were on the meeting the other night, HGAC held a public meeting to discuss changes to the 2045 Regional Mobility Plan. And those changes include adding in State Highway 36. We would welcome the support, comments from the public, going out there and saying, hey, we need this project, let's get it added in there. But it is proposed to be added into the 2045 RTP as two segments, from the southern segment up to I-10, the northern segment from I-10 up north of Hempstead. We are continuing our public engagement. We have not issued a notice of intent, which is the formal documentation that you're going to start all this studies, because that starts a 2-year clock on being able to complete the environmental documentation and have a record of decision, then to move the project forward, saying this is where the route will be. We're looking at filing those notices of intent in the summer of 2021. I believe that's about it there, Shane. You're muted there, Shane.
Sorry. I don't know if you had any of those slides that you sent to me the other day. Actually just sent something to Jim in a PDF. Sorry, I thought you might have a breakout of the area there in Fort Bend and Waller that you might be able to share with us. But
I have some. I don't have them open right now, but
okay.
We can the study area map open, perhaps.
Okay. I think it'd be relevant for everyone to know or see what's going on there, and maybe potential routes moving through there. So.
Let me get the north and the south. That way we can look at.
Sorry to put you on the spot there, but.
Oh man, have to be ready for you here.
I knew you could handle it.
Let's see if I can share a screen. and get, okay, to the south. Everybody see my screen?
We are not seeing it at the moment.
Do you have to allow control, Jim?
I believe we have that already authorized, but I'm looking at that real quick.
Okay.
Oh, now my little screen moved over to you. Are y'all seeing something now?
We are, yes.
Great. Okay, this would be the southern study area, starting down in the Needville vicinity, going north. If you can see the cursor crossing US 59.
Right.
Right now, Fort Bend County has a major thoroughfare that is designated that would follow FM 360 northwest to 59, and then go on a new location parallel to 1875 up to Highway 90, connecting to FM 1489, going up along 1489 toward Highway 36. Of course, with 36A being proposed as a higher speed freeway type facility, 4 lanes, 2 lanes in each direction, we may need to take some of the curves out of the route that would be along 1489. Then as you cross 1480, across existing 36 in the Orchard vicinity, continue north along 1489, and then the route goes on new location between Weston Lakes and Simonton, up into Waller County and connecting to I-10 and US 90 at the Woods Road intersection. Much of that would be on a route that is proposed by the Twin Woods development, a major developer located in Fort Bend County and southern Waller County. And then that connects up here in the Woods Road. There's actually a piece of this Twinswood Boulevard that would become 36A that's already been constructed by the developer south of I-10 to connect to various commercial light industrial parcels that they've sold there. Continuing north of I-10, off of the Woods Road corridor at I-10 and US 90 here on the bottom of the page. Waller County also has shown a major thoroughfare on their major thoroughfare plan as a future high-speed corridor that would come north of I-10 along FM 362. And then as 362 starts doing some of the jogs to move a little further east toward the city of Waller, we would go on new location and connect to the James Muse Parkway at Highway 290. And this then from 290, we would likely follow Highway 290 over to Highway 6 and then go north on Highway 6 out of Waller County into the Bryan District and into Grimes County, where they're already improving Highway 6 as a major route there. As I'd like to observe, if you have Highway 6 coming south, that Highway 6 comes south and makes that turn going into the Houston area. You've got 36 coming north out of the Freeport area toward the Rosenberg. And there's just a big gap in between there. And what this 36A corridor will do is to connect that missing segment between Highway 6 that TxDOT's invested a lot of funds in north of 290, going up to Bryan and on out toward Waco, making that a very important corridor for goods and mobility through Central Texas. And they're likewise investing a lot of money down on Highway 36 south of Rosenberg going toward Freeport. The 36A corridor will connect those two and have continuity to move goods out of the Freeport, out of Port Freeport, southern Brazoria County, through Fort Bend and Waller counties, and then into the Central Texas area, connecting to I-35 in the Waco vicinity.
Very good, David. Thank you very much. That's much clearer picture than I had in my mind a minute ago. So I appreciate you doing that. It's as you can see, everyone can see, this goes right along with our 36A mission statement to improve traffic relief, hurricane evacuation, and economic development. All those are huge opportunities here for us on 36A. Anyone that has not traveled 99A Parkway or 99 Parkway, I'm sorry, Grand Parkway here recently, that has gotten extremely congested. I know when they first opened it up, you could get on there and just drive fairly fast, no problem. And now there's a lot of slowdowns there. So there's a growing need for a more westerly traffic route around Houston as well. So another relief area. So anyway, David, thank you very much. I would, for those who have not gone to the 36A Coalition webpage, it's 36acoalition.org. There's our mission statement is there, as well as our goals and who we're made of, what we're all about there. So good opportunity. Again, it's an opportunity to stay up with what's happening on 36A with the 36A Coalition. One of these days we'll get back together where we can meet face to face and when we won't be meeting virtually, and shake hands and say hi and tell each other how much we look like we gained a little gray hair there somewhere. But anyway, some of us. All right, with that, I would like to again welcome Senator Huffman and Senator Hinojosa to this. We certainly appreciate them being here, and really an open opportunity for them to talk about what's going on in their world right now and what they see coming up with the legislative session this next year. So Senator Huffman started her career as a public servant in 1981 at the age of 12 years old. Upon earning her undergraduate degree from Louisiana State University, she became a secretary for the Harris County District Attorney's Office. It was there that she became inspired by the work of prosecutors and decided to enroll in night classes at the South Texas College of Law while continuing to work full-time. Upon earning her law degree, Joan was hired as a prosecutor and advanced from misdemeanor court to chief felony prosecutor, special crimes gang prosecutor, and legal counsel to the Organized Crime Narcotics Task Force. She served as the lead prosecutor in over 100 jury trials, including murders, aggravated robberies, and sexual assaults of adults and children. Senator Huffman earned a reputation as a fair and tough enforcer of the law, both as a prosecutor and twice elected judge to the 183rd Criminal District Court in Harris County. Senator Huffman was first elected to the Texas House in 2008 and has been reelected 4 times. She currently serves as President Pro Tem, Chair of the Senate Select Committee on Redistricting, Vice Chairman of the Senate Committee on Criminal Justice, as a senior member of the Senate Committee on Finance and Senate Committee on State Affairs, and as a member of the Senate Committee on Administration and Legislative Budget Board. Senator Huffman lives with her family in Houston and proudly represents a diverse district, which includes portions of Brazoria County, Fort Bend, and Harris counties, including Port Freeport. Senator Huffman, thank you for being here. We certainly appreciate it, and we know you're very busy, so appreciate it. Senator Juan Chuy, Hinojosa, proudly represents the people of District 20, born in McAllen, Texas. Hinojosa is the eldest of 8 children. He attended Mission Independent School District schools as a child and worked as a farm worker during his teen years. Hinojosa led the Mission Eagles football team as their quarterback, and after graduation, he volunteered to serve in the U.S. Marine Corps. Hinojosa served his country with distinction in Vietnam. Thank you for your service, sir, before returning home to continue his education. He earned a bachelor's degree in political science from the University of Texas Pan American, where he graduated with honors, and a law degree from Georgetown University in Washington, D.C. After returning to South Texas, Hinojosa served as staff attorney for the Legal Aid Society of Nueces County and later as an assistant attorney general for the Texas Attorney General. Since 1980, Hinojosa has operated as private practice in Hidalgo County, representing clients in both civil and criminal matters. Hinojosa served in the Texas House of Representatives from 1981 until 1991, and again from 1997 to 2003. He was elected to the Texas Senate in 2003. He serves as a vice chair of the Finance Committee and Senate Select Committee on Redistricting Committees, and also serves on numerous other committees, including Transportation and the Senate Select Committee on Texas Ports. Senator Hinojosa has received the prestigious honor of being named a top 10 best legislator by Texas Monthly Magazine 3 times. He has also been named a top 10 legislator by Capital Insight 3 times as well. So again, Senator, we appreciate you being here and appreciate the opportunity to hear what you have to say. So I understand that maybe Senator Huffman is having technical issues.
Yeah, we're trying, she's doing the call in by audio. While we get that, okay. She is in the, I believe she's in the meeting. Senator, are you with us now, Senator Huffman? Well, we're not hearing it yet. So what we'd like to do is while we work on this technical.
I'm here.
Issues,
Right.
You're
Sorry,
here?
I'm here. Okay,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
Right.
Senator Huffman is joining us with audio right now. So.
Okay.
All right.
You're listening. Thank you.
All right. Well, we've Commissioner Pearl just did our introduction. So Senator Huffman, the first segment of this program is yours. If you'd like to offer some comments about the upcoming legislative session, some of the things that you hope to see, and also maybe touch on some on infrastructure and ports and highway infrastructure and ports.
Sure. Well, hello to everybody. I'm sorry I can't get my video to work today. I apologize for that, having Wi-Fi problems. But I'm thrilled to be here and to speak to this group. I know how much you've done for the economic vitality of Senate District 17, and I'm sure for Senator Hinojosa's districts down towards Corpus Christi as well. It has been a very challenging year for everyone, both for, I'm sure, health issues and economic issues, but we are going to come out of this. I'm very hopeful for the future with the news of the vaccine and some better economic news that we received from the comptroller at the Legislative Budget Board last week. And I think the session will be challenging because as we start in January, we will still have many of the effects of COVID around. And so we will be taking precautionary measures in the Senate. I'm sure the House will be doing the same. I think we'll start pretty slowly. So because we're starting slowly, I think it will naturally limit the amount of legislation that ultimately makes it through, the legislative process, just because there's going to be limited rooms available for hearings and limited time to get the work done that we need to get done. As you all know, I'm the chair of the redistricting committee. Redistricting and drawing the maps is one of the things that we must accomplish this session and into the special sessions of the summer, along with, of course, the budget. Interestingly, Senator Hinojosa serves as vice chair of both of those committees, so I have the honor of serving him as a member of the Finance Committee, where he's vice chair, and then he serves as the vice chair on redistricting, where I chair the committee. So I have a great bipartisan working relationship with Senator Hinojosa, and we've accomplished some good things together for the people of Texas. Redistricting, I know everyone's curious about it. We are still waiting for final indication of when we will receive the numbers. That will drive when we can get the job accomplished. So I would hope we'd get it done during regular session. Depending on when we get the numbers, we'll be able to draw the legislative maps in either regular or special. Unless they come during session and we don't have time to finish, then it will go to the Legislative Redistricting Board. And then if they come after session, hopefully the governor will call a special session for us to do that. As far as the congressional maps looking towards the future, I would say almost definitely we will draw those during special session in the summer, because we will not have time to accomplish that in regular session. So it'll be a busy redistricting year with a lot of unknowns, but we will certainly get the job done in a fair, legal, and transparent manner. As far as the infrastructure issues, I think we would all agree that it's extremely important and critical at this point that we continue to recover economically in Texas. And to that end, I think the legislature will be working to do everything we can to help small business and industry across the board to get back on their feet and to move forward. We are committed to continuing the infrastructure growth and transportation. And, even though the budget's going to be extremely tight, luckily the way we planned for the future in the last few sessions by committing part of the ESF fund or the rainy day fund to transportation growth, I think has proven to be quite wise, because, that is pretty much certain money that the legislature can't take away because it was done by constitutional amendment. The ports, of course, are extremely important to the economy of Texas. We've had a lot of growth in internet sales. That's led to, the ports being busy with shipping. And I think that growth will continue. The comptroller reported to us last week about the incredible growth in internet sales tax, and that has grown way past what the projected growth had been. Of course, that probably had to do with people shopping from home, but sometimes those trends could continue. So I will continue to be supportive of the entire region. Anything you guys need to, keep up the projects that you have started. I'll continue to work with industry and the port structures to ensure that you have what you need. We'll be very engaged this coming session, and even though there'll be limited access to the public, at least in the beginning, we will continue to reach out through my staff, through myself, and you're always welcome with your concerns and your thoughts about what is necessary for the continued growth. So that's sort of a quick summation, and happy to answer any questions when the time is appropriate. And thank you for having me today. I very much appreciate it.
Thank you, Senator Huffman. Really appreciate you being here with us. I know your time is, you stay very busy. I do want to say thank you to Gloria for being here, and Gloria does a wonderful job of helping take care of us down here in Brazoria County. So we appreciate her work here as well.
Well, thank you for mentioning her. She's wonderful. She's an angel to me, and I appreciate her very much. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Jim, we ready to with Senator Hinojosa?
Yes. Now we'll turn it over to the Senator Hinojosa. Hopefully he is ready and waiting in the wings, and he'll take our next section here.
Well, first of all, it's always a pleasure to be with working with Chairman Madam Chair Joan Huffman. Does a great job as chair of redistricting, and before that, she was chair of state affairs, handling very complicated and sometimes very sensitive issues. I will start by laying out what I see happening in the legislature, what to expect this coming session. As you all recall, last session, we had a great session. We really focused on many of the needs we had here in the state of Texas, public education, capping property taxes, investing in our infrastructure, and so on. And we left last session with a surplus of $2.9 billion. Unfortunately, we were hit with a double whammy, if you will. The pandemic pretty much shut down our economy, did quite a bit of damage to our budget and the health challenges that we face, but also in terms of the crashing of oil and gas prices. So now we are looking at a $4.6 billion deficit. So next session, when we go in, we'll first take up what is called a supplemental budget. That budget will identify the holes that we have in the budget we passed in last session that will run through September 1st of 2021. So my position has always been that if we are in a within 4.6 to $5 billion deficit, we can manage to that type of budget challenges. If you all recall, in 2011, we had a recession where we had to look at anywhere from 15 to $30 billion deficit. Fortunately for us, I don't think we're looking at that type of a painful situation this coming session. So in 2011, we reduced the budget by $15 billion. That was pretty painful. We cut public education, we just slashed across the board, quite frankly. It was pretty damaging to our state priorities and pretty damaging to our infrastructure. But we worked through it. So the last report by the Comptroller's Office, I thought was a positive report in that it seems like the predictions of it being a very dire type of budget will not be as dire as initially predicted last spring when our economy pretty much shut down. And yes, we still have a lot of businesses that are barely getting back on their feet. We have a lot of people who are unemployed. But here's what's happening. When you look at what the federal government did in terms of the CARE Act funding to help the state pay for COVID-related expenses, $11.2 billion. Then you look at the extended unemployment benefits by the federal government, an additional $600 a week. Then we had a stimulus check by the federal government of $1,200. All those combined really helped the economy in terms of trying to keep it afloat while we move forward and getting our businesses back, the doors are back open, and trying to get people reemployed again. So I see, and then we have a rainy day fund. The rainy day fund, while we cannot use all of it, obviously we will have somewhere around $8.6, $8.7 billion. And that will also be of assistance at some point next session. There's still a lot of uncertainty. So we don't know what to expect next session, except that there'll be a lot of challenges in terms of how we conduct our business, how we take testimony, how we test people that come into the Capitol. All of those are challenges that we face that we're trying to work on and determine how to manage the situation in a very difficult situation. And on top of that, on the positive side, we're now getting vaccinations in place. So people will start getting vaccinated sometime in the next couple of weeks, which I think provides a much more positive outlook for the future, not only of our state, but our nation and our economy. So that provides for, quite frankly, energy and a positive drive to try to make things work and not so much a helpless type of situation because of the pandemic. It seems like it's undefeatable. So hopefully that will be the case as we move forward. You know, as to ports, I'm very lucky and fortunate. I have not only land ports along the border with Mexico, but I also have a water port, a deep water port in Corpus Christi. So I'm very familiar with some of the challenges that our ports face. It was always an uphill battle to get the legislature to really face and focus on the needs of our ports and recognize the important role that our ports play in terms of creating jobs, generating tax revenue, expanding our economy. It's a huge, huge part of our economy here in Texas. And during the last 3 sessions, we have created different funds. I know we created a fund for port infrastructure, and we have appropriated approximately $100 million to help out with the infrastructure needs outside the gate for our ports. And to get to that point, it was not easy because a lot of legislators, if you will, from other parts of the state were somewhat skeptical about investing in our ports. But the reality is that there's a lot of international trade. Most of it goes through our water ports, and we need to provide and help with the infrastructure needs. And also, what I've learned also that to be able to, the biggest, I guess, issue with the ports, every port is a little bit different. Every port has different challenges. Every community is a little bit different. Sorry about that. Every community is a little bit different. But one thing is pretty common in the ports, and that is the need for money, for funding. You have to have some type of funding to help make improvements, whether you are a port that is a comprehensive port, or you specialize on certain products, or a niche type of port. So that is a big challenge in trying to work and provide support for the funding that our ports need to make the channels wider and deeper, to provide better infrastructure to be able to grow and expand. And quite frankly, international trade here in Texas, I think we're the #2 state in the nation. So we are not, we will not be decreasing, or there will not be a decrease or drop in international trade. On the contrary, it will continue to grow and expand. And to do that, we have to focus and take care of the needs that our ports have, not only from infrastructure, but also making sure that we provide the support as a state, combined with the federal government, which is extremely important. They have the big bucks, so to speak. They can write checks. And one thing that bothers me of the federal government, there's a program that where the ports pay a tax into a pot of money, a fund called the Harbor Maintenance Tax Fund. And usually it collects about 1.5 billion to 2 billion a year. For whatever reason, the federal government is not spending much of that money, maybe 25% of it, investing that back in the ports. So to me, we need to put more pressure on the federal government to focus more in taking care of the infrastructure needs of our ports. And we compete mostly, I guess, with Florida and Louisiana along the Gulf for business. So we need to make sure that we pay attention and listen to what needs we may have. Yeah, I could go on and on about other issues dealing with trade, but I'll wait to have a further discussion on that, some of the questions that I saw on your list. But I will point out that many times also the land ports are extremely important. And they work in conjunction with our water ports to make sure that we're able to continue to expand and transport all the merchandise and oil and gas through our ports, and military equipment through our ports. So with that, I'll wait for some more questions and we'll get into further discussion on that.
Sorry, I had to unmute myself. Well, thank you very much for those very insightful comments and giving us some of the lay of the land regarding funding and some of the challenges we face in trying to advocate for ports and for infrastructure. So we'll go ahead and start with our Q&A portion. If in the chat anyone has a question they would like asked, I'm going to be rolling through some prepared questions that we have. But if you want to in chat suggest a question, please feel free to do that. And then we can maybe work some of those in as we work through these other questions. You know, the one thing that we're seeing, and certainly from the standpoint or the perspective of the Highway 36A Coalition, is there's a strategic opportunity that's developed with the the expansion of the Panama Canal, the new class of ships, the need for infrastructure to support the ports to develop them to make sure they're able to handle that class. So, for example, in Fort Freeport is in the midst of a Channel Harbor project to make it the deepest port on the Gulf Coast, Texas Gulf Coast. I'm sure you could outline some other infrastructure improvements that Senator Hinojosa, you all are making. And so what do you agree that there is an opportunity to take advantage of that through things such as moving to a deep water port or developing other infrastructure projects, that there's an opportunity out there to seize so that we can maybe compete against the West Coast or East Coast in terms of some of that container traffic? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I'll speak first. I would say, I've always been supportive of looking forward to the future and was excited by when I met with Port of Freeport folks. And gosh, was that 3 or 4 years ago? I can't remember now. But and their talk about expanding the port so it would be, ready for the big ships that were going to cross the, I guess they call them super tankers, that were going to cross the Panama Canal and so forth. So that is, certainly something that I'm sure I can speak for Senator Hinojosa, that because he, like I, likes to look to the future for economic development and growth in our regions. I guess it always comes down to funding, though, right? I mean, it always comes down to that. And to the extent that we can, leverage federal funds or get federal help, I mean, that's always to our advantage. As you all know, Texas is a big state, so we down here in the region always have a challenge to continue to convince the rest of the state that we are the main economic driver for the state, because everybody has their own ideas about that. But, we'll continue to, be supportive of any initiatives or projects that, you want to bring to the table and help in any way we can. Clearly, we're moving to a new administration at the federal level, and that, no matter what party that is, it's always a challenge when it's a change, because then, we have to make new contacts and figure out how their system is going to work and what their priorities are going to be and what regions of the country are going to be priorities for the new administration. So some of that, I think we'll just have to wait and figure out. I think Texas has been, pretty lucky the last 10 years or so with some of the support we've gotten from the feds, but we'll just have to keep pushing with our congressional delegations and our U.S. senators to see, continue to get these projects moving in Texas. So I'm very supportive of any ideas you have, anything I can do to help.
Thank you, Senator Huffman. Senator Hinojosa, any comments?
Yes, I think the expansion of the Panama Canal really provides for a great opportunity for us to expand our port capabilities, because there will be an increase in trade. It's also a great way to access the markets in Southeast Asia to the Panama Canal. There comes the Panama Canal. But our challenge here is that we don't have the deep ports that we need at this point. I think Houston has one. I think Port Freeport is working on getting the port deeper to 55 feet. I think Port of Corpus Christi trying to get to 54 feet and also widen it to be able to accommodate the big ships. So that's important. So yes, we have great opportunities, but we also have to do our part in combining funding from the private sector, from the local governments, and our ports, and the federal government and the state to be able to make this a reality and happen. And the trade with Mexico will also not decrease. Mexico continues to grow in population. The economy continues to expand. So the opportunities are there. We just need to make sure we take advantage of them. The other is there are issues up in California with the ports. I know that they have huge ports in California, but from what I read and from what I know, there's a huge backup of ships having to sit out there for months because of labor issues and labor challenges. So you have a whole range of issues that we don't have yet here in Texas, but the key will be trying to expand the capability by deepening and widening our ports here in Texas.
Right. I'd forwarded to you all, staff, a very interesting article that appeared in some of the one of the industry journals about the Port of Veracruz and some of its plan to expand its capacities and create a major trade corridor and rail corridor from Mexico through Texas to Canada. I don't know how much you're aware of that. Are projects like that something we should try and participate with, or should we compete against, or where do you see that strategically?
Well, I would say if we could avoid having to compete with a project in Mexico, that would probably be a good idea. I mean, if that were to open up, then I guess we would have the same problem that we've had in the past of transportation with too many trucks and the other issues that we have when we get too many vehicles on the roads and we don't have the rail capacity, and the same issues that we've struggled with before. So I would think we would try to get ahead of a project like that if it would be possible to do so. That'd be my thoughts on it.
Thank you. Senator Hinojosa, any thoughts?
Yeah, obviously, even if they expand their capabilities, it's still being Mexico, right? And the goods have to come into the United States or exported from the United States. So either way, I think the key here will be cost. How much is the cost shipping goods through our seaports as compared to our land ports? Companies look at that. And Mexico is building a super highway up from their east coast to come in through the Gulf Coast and the border ports. So to me, a lot of that will depend. Yes, they may expand the capabilities, but the reality is that whatever goods they receive in Mexico and Veracruz have to still make its way to one of the main markets, and that's the United States. So with that, that's what I see, and that's what my thoughts on that.
Thank you. Both of you have addressed the issues that we'll face in the next legislative session regarding funding, and so we know there will be challenges. Do you see any attempts to undermine, weaken, or the streams of funding that were dedicated by constitutional amendment, propositions 1 and 7, and are those sources secure for transportation? Do you see?
I don't see any movement towards trying to reverse those constitutional amendments. I think, sometimes folks, worry about the amount when we're short in other areas and we are desperately trying to fund public ed and health and human services and other big money items. Sometimes we look over there at that transportation fund, but that's why we put it into law through a constitutional amendment. That's why the voters voted on it. That makes it safe and secure. Now, to the extent that the rainy day fund is funded by severance taxes, I think there's some, reasonable concern that revenue is going to be diminished as we have seen, oil and gas prices plummet, and how does that stabilize? How does that even out in the next year or two? And that could have effect on the amount of money that's going into the rainy day fund, which of course affects the amount that's siphoned out for those propositions. So that, that's an issue, but again, that's out of the control of the legislature, which is a good thing, but more, just part of the whole economic climate that we all have to deal with. And so, that's an issue, and that's just something we'll have to watch and look at the numbers. But I don't see the legislature trying to do any tricks with the constitutional amendments at this point.
Okay, Senator Hinojosa, any additional comments?
Yeah, I agree with Chair Huffman. I don't see any serious discussions or movement towards trying to undo Proposition 1 and Proposition 7 that received overwhelming support from the voters. And quite frankly, investing in our transportation system, our infrastructure, creates jobs, helps the economy. I think it would be very counterproductive to do that. And the budget situation we'll face this coming session, in my opinion, will be very manageable compared to different challenges we've faced in the past. We also have the possibility of Congress maybe getting the act together and passing legislation to provide additional assistance to our states and local governmental entities, including revenue.
Yes. Yeah, as you, I think both of you are aware, the TxDOT has the Texas Transportation Plan 2040, and recommended investments of about $15 billion annually through 2040. We're short of that, of course. This will be a tough legislative session. What can be done, maybe more in a long-term approach, to help close that gap between what is actually needed to enhance our infrastructure and what is actually available? And so specifically, you might want to address the concept of perhaps indexing the gas tax, something that's not been touched, I believe, for, maybe I believe it's a couple of decades. But yeah, instead of just pushing to raise a gas tax or increase it, instead indexing it to inflation and allowing it to grow and adjust as the economy grows. Could you offer your thoughts on that or other tools to begin to try to close that gap on what we need in infrastructure and what we actually have?
Well, I would say that, as everyone knows on this call, that we have a very, basically a very conservative legislature. And in tough economic times, the last thing that I believe such a legislature will do is to raise any kind of taxes. So I don't think indexing the fuel tax, that's been presented in many shapes and forms since I've been in the legislature since 2009, and it's really never gone anywhere. I have heard some discussion of folks who are interested in assessing a way to require fees on, well, I'll call it alternative fuel vehicles, or really electric vehicles or other, vehicles like that, who will, avoid the gas tax. And it looks like there'll be building a lot more of those and be a more common use as that is encouraged perhaps with the new federal administration. So there's some discussion of that. And, I would say over time, I wouldn't be surprised to see something like that pass. I would say it wouldn't be this session for sure. But, I would think over time, as we looked at data and we could see that behavior had changed significantly, that, there would be some discussion about how to address it that way. We hear other ideas, raising the registration fee, which, the Texas registration fee is actually lower than many other states and many near us. And so, that suggestion has been thrown out there. Again, I think that there, is a reluctance to raise any new fees or taxes in tough economic times. So I don't see that happening. But I do think that, this reliability of the propositions and the money that is there, even though I understand that there's a shortfall on the long term, if you look at the long-term plans that the state needs, the reliability and the being able to, know that there's going to be a certain amount of revenue over the long term, I do think has been positive for the growth of the state and infrastructure of the state. So, there are plans on the books and all the preliminary work and the studies being done for these long-term projects. And so I think at this point, we should be quite thankful for that. But continue to look for new ideas of how we continue to fund infrastructure. That's my idea.
Thank you very much, Senator Huffman. Senator Hinojosa, any thoughts just on how closing the gap on infrastructure, transportation funding, maybe over the long term, not necessarily the session?
Yeah, this, you know, obviously, and I agree with Chair Huffman, there've been a lot of discussions with different options, strategies to close the gap with the decreasing amount of tax revenue that's produced by our present tax on gasoline, on fuels. I think any type of increase on the sales tax, on the gasoline tax, sales tax is out of the question. That will not happen. Indexing, maybe at some point, not this coming session. But here's what is happening. Number one, we're a donor state. We pay more into gasoline taxes at the federal level than we get back compared to other states. I think number two, yes, there's been more of a change into alternative fuel type of vehicles, battery operated vehicles, LNG or gas operated, natural gas operated vehicles, but they're not paying their fair share for the use of our roads. At some point, we have to figure out a way to place a fee on those type of vehicles so that they can pick up their fair share of cost, maintaining our transportation system, and make sure we continue investing in the infrastructure needs of our state and transportation needs. So I see that happening. The other issue is it's been discussed about maybe doing a fee on the number of miles that a vehicle uses. I just don't know how that would work, and I really don't like that approach. I think at some point we're just gonna have to figure out the money that we need to be able to have a viable, strong transportation system where everybody pays their fair share, that uses our roads, especially some of what I've seen, some of the heavier vehicles that do a lot of damage to our highway system, our roads. So we're looking at different options, but I don't think that will happen anytime soon, only because of the situation we find ourselves in. But at some point, we have to make that tough choice, make the decision to be able to sustain the growth of our transportation system and have a viable way to provide transportation, not only for commerce, but also for our citizens.
Thank you so much for those comments. As we approach the end, maybe one last question at least, if depending on how much time we consume with it. But could you, both of you, talk a little bit about what you see on the horizon for redistricting? What sort of changes? What's happening with the population growth? How that might adjust some of our district boundaries, and maybe in general from a 30,000 square foot view, 30,000 foot view.
Sure. So, the state has continued to grow in the Senate. Every Senate district has grown. So every portion of the state has grown. It's just that some areas have grown faster than others. The quickest growing populations are north of the Metroplex towards Denton and Tarrant County area. And then for our area, the second fastest or growing district is to the west of Houston into Fort Bend in the western side of Harris County and westward. So, the data drives what happens with the maps, the data and the population. So we will have about 29 million people, we believe, when the numbers are finally in and everything is totaled up. That'll be about 950,000 people in each Senate district and about 750 in a congressional district. So the congressional districts will be smaller than the Senate districts. Based on the projections, we'll get 2 to 3 new congressional seats in the state of Texas. And of course, the data and the population will drive where those are ultimately drawn. So, yeah, we all knew that Texas was continuing to grow. Now we know for sure we're the fastest growing state in the union and that we will get the most new congressional seats. The closest state is Florida, who's going to get 1, and California is losing 1. So that kind of gives you a little bit of picture of what's been going on nationally. The maps, it's a long process. We'll have lots of public input and hearings. There'll be drawn in a fair, legal, and transparent manner. But because of this huge growth we've seen in the state and the changes, some of the maps are going to look different. That I can say, because to make it work, some of the maps will look different. Some of the districts will look different. Let's put it that way. So I look forward to working on that mammoth project for the people of Texas, and to come up with a good, fair, and legal map.
Great. Senator Hinojosa, your thoughts on redistricting and what we're looking at?
Well, of all the issues we take up in the Texas legislature, which the vast majority are nonpartisan, redistricting is probably the most partisan issue. And I've been involved, I think there were at least 3 or 4 other redistricting sessions, if you will, and they're tough. Some regions lose, some other regions gain. But the reality is that whatever map we come up with, it will be challenged in federal court. One group or another will file a lawsuit, and it will take years and years to resolve that. And we try our best to do the best job we can in trying to make sure we have fair representation throughout the state of Texas. But whatever we decide, it will always be challenged in court. And it's very, quite frankly for us, disturbing in a sense, because sometimes from one session to another session, our district lines may be changed by a federal judge.
I'm sorry, Senator Hinojosa. We have accidentally, my big fat thumb stepped all over your comments. So would you please unmute?
All right.
Thank you.
Did I finish?
No, good. We dropped about 20 seconds of you there. So,
well,
anyway.
my point is that we try to do a very good job. We try to be fair and pass legislation that really represents our state. But every session I've been involved that involves redistricting, it ends up in federal court with a federal judge or a Supreme Court deciding our boundary lines. At least maybe not all of them, but a part of them. So that happens.
Yes. Well, we're at our hour limit, and I know both our senators on the call with us are very busy, and they have to head off to other things. We really appreciate their time. I'm going to give it over to Chairman Pirtle here to wrap us up. One thing, David Gornett, you mentioned the need to communicate support for the HGAC planning for Highway 36A. So maybe if you could send me just some appropriate information on that, we'll get it out to our membership. Maybe we can all chime in with HGAC.
I'll make sure I get something over to you, Jim.
Thank you.
That'd be great. Well, Chairman Pirtle.
All right. Yes, to both senators, Huffman and Hinojosa, we certainly appreciate you being here today. I won't go into everything as far as my feelings regarding Port Freeport and how we're growing and the many projects that we have going on. I could be here for an hour talking about those, but I will invite both of you to come visit us in Port Freeport. We can get you on a pilot boat so you can tour around, or we can take you up in a 300-foot crane and you can see it from overhead. So there's lots of opportunities to see what's going on. And Austin, thank you for helping us get this set up. We appreciate it very much, sir. Senator Hinojosa talked about the Harbor Maintenance Fund. There is the House and Senate committees are actually discussing that today, the Water Resources Development Act. Hopefully they will provide some of those harbor maintenance funds out to the ports of the United States to be able to improve their ports and quit holding on to that money. Other than that, I would like to say that normally we like to give speaker gifts. We're not able to do that at this time, but a donation to Port Ministry will be made in the senators' names. So we appreciate that. If you're not familiar with Port Ministry, they do a fabulous job down here in Port Freeport of taking care of the thousands of seafarers coming through. They provide them transportation, place to take showers, things like that, as well as the truck drivers. We have thousands of truck drivers coming through. So they're a great ministry, but they're a great service to the seafarers and the truck drivers. So we'll make that donation in your names for that. So,
Well, thank you.
all right.
Thank you very much. Yes.
And thank y'all for being here. We really appreciate it. I don't have anything else, Jim. Anything else that we need to?
No, we'll make a recording of this available to our membership, so they can all get some insights from our senators, which we appreciate very much.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Thank you all.
Sorry that Brazoria County can't bring you shrimp this year. I just got a note that the Brazoria
Yeah.
County is canceled. So
Very
yeah,
sad.
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Thank
Y'all be
you.
safe,
Y'all
stay
too.
healthy.
Thank
All
you.
right, thanks again. Everyone have a great day.